my friends, welcome back. We are doing Wit and Wisdom lesson 6, so let's get started. All right. Get rid of everything that's floating around in here.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Wit and Wisdom in Sync. My name is Tanisha Spears, and I'm so excited to jump into our lesson. But before we do, let's make sure you have your materials ready. For this lesson, you will need a copy of the Cinderella text adapted by Marsha Brown, if you have it. You'll need handout 6A, which is the opinion sandwich chart, your Wit and Wisdom in Sync journal, and a pencil. Pause the video now if you need to gather your materials.
Got it.
In previous work, you had an opportunity to think about the importance of evidence when forming an opinion statement. You also had a chance to look more closely at the characters of Cinderella and Cinderella's fairy godmother. Today, you will be thinking about the important message in the Cinderella text. You'll also be thinking about the importance of the structure of an opinion paragraph. Now, I want you to think about this question. What do we call the big idea that we can learn from a story? I'm sure you said it. We call it the important message. And the important message is a lesson that readers learn from a story. So today, the question that will frame our learning is, what is the important message in this text? So today we'll be discussing the important message or lesson in Cinderella adapted by Marsha Brown. Listen as I review Cinderella's traits that we identified. Hardworking, kind, forgiving.
Yes.
Now, if I had to come up with one word to describe what kind of person Cinderella is, what would it be? Think. What kind of person is hardworking, kind, and forgiving? Share your thinking with your learning partner or just share aloud.
I think she's a good person all around. What do you think?
Now, I know that there are many words that you could have chosen, but I chose the word good. I want you to give a thumbs up if you agree that the evidence shows that Cinderella is a good person. Okay, friends, remember, you also completed a Cinderella story map, and you can use what you learned about Cinderella's experiences to help you determine an important message or lesson in the story. Think about this. What happens to Cinderella at the end of the story? Think. Now, share with your learning partner.
Okay, so let's think about this. What happens at the end of the story to Cinderella? Everyone finds out that she was the princess at the ball. Her stepsisters are nice to her. She marries the prince, and she gets to live at the palace.
I'm sure you said it. Cinderella marries the prince and gets to live in a palace. Now, I want you to think about what kind of person Cinderella is and what happens at the end of the story. Do you see a connection? I'll ask again. Think about what kind of person Cinderella is and what happens at the end of the story. Do you see a connection? Think. Share with your learning partner or share aloud.
So what kind of person she is? She's a kind-hearted person. And at the end of the story, it shows because her sisters are nice to her again. Once they realize, oh, she's been here all this time. She's been kind to us and we've been ugly to her. But at the end, she gets everything rewarded to her because she's been such a good person.
So now here's my question. What do you think is the important message of Cinderella? Think. And share your ideas with your learning partner. or share aloud.
I think good people will be rewarded. I also think that kindness pays off. If you're kind to somebody, they're going to be kind to you, hopefully.
I really wish I could have heard what you've shared. Here's one possible important message. Good people will be rewarded. And when I say rewarded, I mean to give something to someone in return for an accomplishment. For example, when in school, you may have been rewarded for good behavior in your classroom and gotten some extra resources. Or at home, you may have been rewarded for doing your chores by getting ice cream. Since Cinderella is a good person and she got what she dreamed about at the end of the story, one message might be that good people will be rewarded. Now, it's okay if you have a different idea of an important message. There can be several important messages in a story. What's important is that there is strong evidence to support the message that you chose. Okay, friends, you learned about examining evidence to form an opinion in previous lessons. Examining evidence is one of the steps before writing an opinion paragraph, and it is important to include evidence in an opinion paragraph to support the opinion as well. In today's lesson, you will learn about the parts of an opinion paragraph. Take out handout 6A, the opinion sandwich chart. It looks like what you see on the screen. And if you don't have it, that's okay. You can just follow along on the screen.
Okay, I'm going to put ours up here on the whiteboard. I have it on chart paper. So that way we can see it that way too.
Does this chart remind you of anything? This chart does look like a cookie with chocolate wafers on the top and on the bottom and cream in the middle.
Yep.
You may have noticed that it looks a little like the topic sandwich chart that you've used in the past to organize your writing. You're going to use this chart to also help you organize your writing as well. Now, an opinion paragraph is like a sandwich cookie. An opinion statement is the top part of the cookie. The middle is the reasons that support an opinion, and the reasons include evidence that answers the question, what makes you think? The opinion conclusion is the bottom of the cookie. It reinforces the opinion, and reinforce means support. We're going to label the chart on handout 6A together, and we're going to label it like this. The O will go next to the top of the cookie, because O stands for the opinion statement at the beginning of the paragraph. I'm going to write RE next to the middle. RE stands for reasons. An opinion paragraph should include reasons and evidence that support the opinion. Lastly, I'm going to write O next to the bottom of the cookie. O stands for the opinion conclusion. The opinion conclusion reminds the reader of your opinion. Now let's work together to label each part of a sample opinion paragraph about Cinderella's stepsisters. Listen as I read the paragraph. I think the stepsisters are mean. They call Cinderella names. They make her do their work. That is why I think the stepsisters are mean. All right, let's look at the top layer of the cookie. Listen as I read the sentence. I think the stepsisters are mean. This first sentence is labeled with an O for opinion statement. An opinion statement is the sentence that states or tells the opinion. What is the opinion of the writer of this paragraph? Think. Share your responses with your learning partner.
The opinion is the stepsisters are mean, right?
I'm sure you shared it. The writer's opinion is that the stepsisters are mean. Now, look at the middle or the cream of the cookie. Listen as I read these sentences. They call Cinderella names. They make her do their work. These sentences are labeled RE for reasons. Reasons are the evidence that answers the questions, what make you think that, or why you have that opinion. In this paragraph, the reasons provide evidence about how the stepsisters are made. What is one reason that shows the stepsisters are made? Think. Share your ideas with your learning partner, or just share aloud.
One reason that I think the stepsisters are mean is because they call Cinderella names.
I really wish I could have heard the reason you identified. One of the reasons I identify is that the stepsisters call Cinderella names. And a second reason is that the stepsisters make Cinderella do their work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's look at the bottom layer of the cookie. This is the opinion conclusion, or the ending, which reminds the reader of the writer's opinion. Listen as I read the sentence. That is why I think the stepsisters are me. The third sentence is labeled O for opinion conclusion, and the opinion conclusion often restates the opinion. It says the opinion again in a slightly different way. All right, I'd like you to point to each part of the cookie sandwich on the screen and remember to point gently as I read the whole paragraph once again. I think the stepsisters are mean. They call Cinderella names. They make her do their work. That is why I think the stepsisters are mean. All right, friends, now what you are going to do is you're going to go back to handout 6A, the opinion sandwich chart. And here's what you're going to do. You are going to define and explain each part by writing or recording the name of each part and explaining what each part does. Are you ready?
Yes.
Pause the video to record or write.
All right. So looking at the board, I'm going to stop sharing just for the moment. Okay, and we can come back to this. So that way we can talk about each part, and that way you can write it in your journal. So up here, I have opinion statement, reasons, and opinion conclusion. So the opinion statement is what? An opinion statement is the top part of the cookie, and it's what you're talking about. This is what you're talking about. What you have an opinion on. Let me see. I can find a different marker. So it's what you have an opinion about, okay? All right, wrong way. Okay, let's look at reasons. Reasons are what? That's the green part, it's the middle part, and this is the evidence. Evidence that what makes you think about this. So this is evidence that supports your opinion. Okay. And then the last part of the cookie is the opinion conclusion, and that is just a restatement of the opinion statement. Okay, so that is just tying it back up and restating again. All right, so you should have that in your journal and labeled, okay? All right, so now I am going to share back again with my screen. We'll go back to our lesson. Let me get it back up here.
All right, awesome first graders. Did you write or record? If you didn't, be sure you go back so that you know the parts of the opinion paragraph and what they do. Nice job identifying the important message in the text, Cinderella, adapted by Marsha Brown. Next time we'll continue with the same text, but until then, be kind and do something great because you are capable of greatness.
Okay, so let me stop sharing. Let me see here, my friends. Well, let me see here. Okay. Now we're back. All right, so let's talk about supporting the central message with evidence. Now, in our story today, we talked about good people will be rewarded. All right, so good people will be rewarded. Okay, I brought up our chart about good people will be rewarded. What I'd like to do is I want to look at some pages in our story and I want to put them on this chart. Okay. Let's look here on page 7. On page 7. And this is the page where Cinderella is in the room getting hair done for the stepsisters. She's tightening their corsets. She's fixing everything that they need to be fixed for the ball. So on this page, what happens? Cinderella is helping her stepsisters get ready for the ball. Okay, so we're going to put Cinderella is getting her stepsisters ready for ball. Okay, that's one thing. On the other page, on 9 through 14, this is where Cinderella meets her fairy godmother. The fairy godmother asks her to bring a pumpkin and some lizards and some mice. And the fairy godmother changes Cinderella into this beautiful princess without the rags on, changes everything using magic so she can go to the ball. So what could we put? How good people will be rewarded? We can put that the fairy godmother gave Cinderella a chance to go to the ball, didn't she? So fairy godmother gave Cinderella the chance to go to the ball. Okay, so that's another one. Let's look at what happens at the ball. Who does she meet at the ball? She meets the prince, right? And what happens there at the ball? He falls in love with her. So guess what? That's another thing. The prince falls in love with Cinderella. All right. And then at the end of the story, what happens? Think about that. The prince finds her, tries on the glass slipper, and then they get married and live happily ever after in the palace, right? So we could put Cinderella and Prince married. And live in the palace. So how was she rewarded here? Her fairy godmother came and let her go to the ball, changed everything with the magic wand. The prince falls in love with her. She marries the prince and gets to live in the palace. And she's helping her sisters. And at the end of the story, she was rewarded. She was very much rewarded. Okay, so let me move off of this. And I'm going to take us to our deep dive. All right, so we've been talking conjunctions, remember, and what do conjunctions do? The glue of the sentence, correct? All right, they hold the sentence together. So on these sentences, we are going to identify the conjunction. So we are going to circle the conjunction. So let's look at this first sentence here. Cinderella went to the ball and lost her shoe. So what's the conjunction there? And my markers, let's see if this one works better. And, all right, let's look at the second sentence. The prince wanted to marry the girl at the ball, but didn't know who she was. What's the conjunction? But. Let's look at the third sentence. Cinderella had to leave by midnight or magic would wear off. What's the conjunction? Or. And our last sentence here, the stepmother made Cinderella work hard because she was mean to her. What's the conjunction? Because. Great job. So let's talk about why are compound sentences with commas important? What do commas help do? Commas help separate our sentences also. They separate things like if we have a listing of things, we can separate them by commas. We use commas in our, we use commas when we talk. So let's read this right here. Cinderella had to cook for her stepmother. Cinderella had to clean for her stepmother. Cinderella had to do laundry for her stepmother. So what's the same about all those sentences? Cinderella had to do a lot of things, right? Cinderella is repeated over and over and over again, right? Okay. So let's see, what can we do here? Let me erase here. Cinderella had to cook, comma, clean, comma, and do laundry for her stepmother. We combined all those sentences together to make one sentence, okay? It says, place a comma between all the things Cinderella did for her stepmother. and put a conjunction between the last two things she did for her stepmother. So we did that. So if you notice, we added our commas and we added a conjunction there. So let's create a compound sentence using, would you like to eat pizza for dinner? Would you like to eat hamburgers for dinner? Would you like to eat ice cream for dinner? So how could we put those into one sentence? What could we do there? We could say, I'm going to write it below it, okay? Would you like to eat pizza? Okay, that's from the first sentence. We're going to do hamburgers, comma, hamburgers, comma. And now I'm going to use a conjunction before I write the last one, or ice cream for dinner. Now, I added commas after our series of words, but I also added a conjunction there with our last one. Okay, good. So let's do another one. Let's do our last one here. Lisa likes to run. Lisa likes to skip. Lisa likes to jump. So let's start off. Lisa likes to what? She likes to run. What do we put after run? We put a comma. Our next one, she likes to skip, comma, and our last one, jump. Period. So we've gotten our two commas and our conjunction. Great job there, friends, at working those sentences. All right, now you can see me better. All right, guys, thank you for working so hard today. And I will see you back here tomorrow. All right, so have a great day